Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com with another episode of the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. The show that does exactly what it says on the tin in the most annoying way possible. You're welcome. Now, before we begin, two things. One, Simon Miller is an absolute ledge. And two, a certain Defiant roster member needs to get their f***ing attitude and put it in the bin. That's all I'm saying. Watch the tape-ins, you'll understand that. Anyway, enough of my shade that I'm throwing, and let's hit that intro. So, let's start with the thing that's causing the world to have a mini meltdown at the moment. Hulk Hogan is back! Yes, he's back in the WWE, which is great for the man himself, but it is leaving a sour taste in the mouths of many. So Mark Henry said that less than half of the black wrestlers in the WWE wanted him back, and Titus O'Neil made his thoughts perfectly clear in a series of tweets after Hulk Hogan apologized. And I do use the word apologize in air quotes because according to Titus, it seemed pretty stinky, because basically what he did was he didn't apologize for the fact that his racial slurs had gone Titus worldwide, but in fact he only apologized for the fact that he'd been recorded while saying it. Yeah, it's not a good look, and it might also explain the fact why originally the WWE said that the apology was going to be taped, and then immediately said, oh, actually, no, they're not taped, but there was no taping there at all. Which probably kind of makes sense, because if this is actually the context in which he is apologizing, then yeah, it's going to be quite inflammatory, and they've probably made the wisest PR move by not putting that out there. Yeah, it's a bit of a sticky subject, this one, because while in the ring, the man was a person to rally behind, nowadays there definitely is a rally, but it's not one I want to f***ing attend, and it seems that the ultimate challenge, brother, was for the Hulkster to actually f***ing apologize. No, I still can't hear one. And speaking of ghosts from the past, let's talk about Dana Warrior, who basically on this week's podcast, Total Warriors, said that, well, something very strange happened and it left me in goddamn stitches. She said that her home was being invaded by spirits. I will read her verbatim right now. It seemed like darker energies came. That's not actually her voice, by the way. There were just smells and rattling and really scary stuff. Now, this bit here isn't actually that funny. I mean, actually, it'd be quite terrifying if it happened in real life. But then this happened. She claimed that the ghost of the Ultimate Warrior came back and challenged her f***ing ghost to a supernatural squash match. I shall continue to read. You can feel Warrior. You could feel and you could smell him. Ooh. You could smell him in the house. Ooh. And it was fighting and he was battling and it went on and on and on. And when I woke up in the morning, I expected to see my whole hallway in shambles and there was not a thing out of place, but a sense of triumph. Well, bugger my biscuits. I tell you, I almost joined the Spirit Squad myself because I almost died f***ing laughing at this. What she's saying, in effect, is that her husband, a guy with more skeletons in his closet than he'd care to mention, came back from the grave to sort out those that are squatting with his missus. And also, we know that it wasn't the Ultimate Warrior, because if it was, he'd do a price hike before doing his appearance. Now, lads, and the three girls that watch this show, I'm not saying that the WWE is petty in any way, but they did have a funny response this week to the fact that Ring of Honor and New Japan had basically snapped Madison Square Garden from right under their noses like a pair of cheeky whippets. They had this to say upon hearing the fact that an event had been booked under their names. MSG is, of course, free to work with Ring of Honor however they want. Well, that's bloody nice of them, isn't it? That's really nice, isn't it? Working together, how magnanimous of them. God, what a bunch of... They tried to legally pursue MSG and failed. Yeah, so while it might come across like they're saying, well, it's open to anyone, it's fair game, lads, everyone can have a go, it really actually comes across as the fact that imagine if your mate is necking on that sliz that you fancy for ages, and you just do that sort of thing where you're like, oh, never fancied her anyway. Yes, you f***ing did. I'm not forgiving you, Dave. Now, I'm sure they won't take out their anger at this on any of the indie-grown stars near the top of their card. Because, let's f***ing face it, there ain't none that haven't been squashed already. Whew, 2 for 2, mate. I'm on fire. Sometimes life gives you lemons. Sometimes life gives you a video in which Gangrel beats up the Toys R Us giraffe with an Amazon package. This is the latter.
Yeah. Today's gonna be a good day. Also, yeah, I know that the actual footage dropped last week, but some things are too important to be constrained by time. Having a giraffe. 2018. Don't do drugs.
And now welcome to the Philosophical Corner.
What happens when the richest man in the world drops the gold and the penny?
Phil, seriously, the more this goes on, the more that you're inside my mind. I feel like I want to give you my PIN number. Also, it's because of the fact that Kazuchika Okada went f***ing insane this week. You smell really nice today.
Thanks.
Now, let me put it bluntly to you. Okada is a f***ing genius. After years of going on a tear, he not only planted his flag at the top of the mountain, but split the goddamn thing in two. And it left many people wondering where he would go after this rise to the top. Well, the answer is down. But not in terms of quality, but in terms of absolute sheer insanity. Because what we're seeing now is less the Rainmaker and something completely different. The loss of the IWGP belt has broken him, and this week on the G1 Climax, he showed up with Will Ospreay in a completely new attire, sporting red instead of the gold. He had balloons tied to him for some reason, and he had a new remixed theme. So what we're seeing here is a definite shift in his character. And for many, it's actually kind of a scary thing. Whenever you have a well-established character that is loved by millions the world over, why would you change something that isn't broken? But that's the best thing about Okada. He's willing to take risks even though he's near the f***ing top. That's what makes it special. I am still worried about where it's going to go, and it is insane to see such a transformation happen to something that is so, well, solid as gold, but still, I'm bloody entertained at the same time. It's like watching a well-orchestrated car crash. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it, but it's utterly enthralling all the same. The best thing about it is that Okada is basically stating that his journey is far from over. But unfortunately, ours is, because that is the end of the f***ing show. And there we go, those were the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. Now to close out the show, the only way I know how, by reading my favourite comment from last week's episode, and this is from Intern A, which says, without his hat in the intro, Jules looks like Aiden English's unsuccessful brother, Jaden Portuguese. I like that a lot. I've got a lot of time for that one. Comedy banter, I do look like him. I would kill for his bloody body, though. Imagine this, though. It's Julesev Day! Yes, I am that egotistical. As always, a massive thank you to Michael Sidgwick and Phil Chambers for their continued work on this show, as well as to you at home for watching. But before you go, maybe let's check out something I've done on the gaming channel, or maybe something I've done on That Film Theory. Editor, Phil, you can choose whichever stuff goes up in here. I really don't care. As always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon. Love my t-shirt, by the way. I know you do.